It wasn't that I didn't feel done, but I felt it was time. Sometimes you start ministry as an intern and you grow up to senior pastor. Well, I left senior pastoring and worked my way back down to intern.
Every morning, Steve would come in. He always has his Bible and prayer time in the morning. He would start worshiping on the piano and he would sing. I just felt like there was something going on in him spiritually.
My experience with God, when I'm waiting on him, it's like nothing, 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 and then the whole earth moves under our feet, and that's what happened. Hey, listen, guys, Romans 8:28 is actually true, and Galatians 6:9, if we don't faint in doing good and serving and waiting, that in due season we will reap. Those verses are actually true. We've preached them for years, and they're actually true.
All right. I am here with Steve and Debbie Sawyer, two amazing people. You guys met, fell in love at Lee University. Sometime later, you decided to tie the knot. You guys started pumping out kids. Now you got grandkids, but before that, you say back in the 1900s, right? Because that's what we have to say.
Right.
Yeah.
Back in the 1990s, you can correct me if I'm wrong, you guys started Harvest Cathedral, some fruitful work inside that ministry. Fast forward, 30 plus years. You guys find yourself in a season where, Pastor Steve, you are transitioning out, shoulder tap to fine young man to take your place with Harvest Cathedral, now Fall Line Church. He's doing amazing things. I got to watch you at Leverage, the conference we hold every single year, talk about building bridges between generations. And in that conversation, you referenced Jacob, and you said his final hour was his finest hour. But I think as a person sitting in the seat, looking at you, Pastor Steve, thinking, man, this guy did it. What a model, what an example. That was April 2025. Now, fast forward, and this is where the conversation picks up today, Pastor Steve and Debbie, is November. I see on social media, hey, the Sawyers are now going to become lead pastors at a new church in Cleveland, Tennessee.
That's right.
And so I want you both, if you don't mind, take a minute or two and just kind of unpack that journey real quick, if you don't mind.
Well, Matt, first of all, I appreciate you having us, and I appreciate the kind words about my too long talk at the conference. But anyway.
It was perfect.
Yeah. So I turned 65 back sometime around then, and I began to realize that I needed to begin to look for a successor. Anyway, we brought Pastor Jordan that you mentioned. Is just an incredible guy. He's been with us several years, but he had gone away, was ministering in a great church in San Diego, and we got him back over. And here's the deal. It's like I said at the conference, it wasn't that I didn't feel done, but I felt it was time. And I think that's an important thing.
Wow.
If you wait till you're done, if you wait till, okay, I got to let go of this thing because I can't do it anymore, I think you might be too late. And so that makes it a little difficult, but we weren't done, but we knew it was time, not only for us, but really for Jordan and Camilla, because they were perched ready. We could tell they were ready. And we knew that any delay would begin to draw off of them. And so we took a step of faith and we stepped out. And contrary to what most people have asked us, how you're enjoying retirement, we didn't retire. We didn't even leave the team. We changed role. We took some time off. And then we changed roles, and I became a teaching pastor, and Debbie was a missions pastor. And I taught last year, like, for instance, probably 10 times.
Okay.
At Fall Line. So we stayed, we really, Debbie, would you say we felt more busy?
We were busy. Yeah.
Since we turned the church over than we did before.
Sorry, we tried to be the staff that we always wanted.
Hey, yeah. I like that.
So we would try to do pretty much anything that was done. We would try to be there. Not always, but we did our best. And, that just helped a lot, I think, staying involved.
Well, fast forward, because that you just talked through succession there, and brilliantly so. You guys weren't done. You just knew it was time. I love that. I'm taking from that message in April, to now. Obviously, some conversations happened. God was lining some stuff up. He was doing some stuff in you. So take us from there to now lead pastors at Church Alive Ministries. I want to make sure I'm getting that right.
Yes.
In
Yes.
Cleveland, Tennessee. What was
Yes.
God doing in you to get you ready for that? And how did that line up with the fact that you guys are there now doing the work?
Well, it would have been kind of neat if we had stepped out knowing what God was going to do. But as so often is the case, we didn't have a clue. When God told Abram to leave his country and his kinfolk and his land and go to another place, he said, "I'll tell you when you're there when you're there." And so we didn't know what was next for us. So we just knew there was a next. And that started a season uh, of just waiting, of really just seeking and wondering. I mean, just we knew, and when we didn't know if it was going to be 4 weeks or 4 months or 4 years before we heard from God. And but we didn't hear from God. But we knew better than to sit around.
Mm-hmm.
And so we decided to stay busy. And like Debbie said, we just jumped in at fall line and just began to serve. Sometimes you start ministry as an intern and you grow up to senior pastor. Well, I left senior pastoring and worked my way back down to intern. I mean, we set up chairs, we did grocery shopping, we just served as much as we could. And like Debbie said, we tried to serve like we always wanted us to serve, because we really wanted to see Pastor Jordan and Camilla succeed. And oh my, have they succeeded beyond any
Yeah,
expectations. And they're just doing great.
It's amazing.
So
they're
it went on.
amazing.
This went 4 years without hearing. And Debbie, you can jump in any time, but we really didn't have any direction for 4 years. And so you can start to wonder, you know what? Because the age clock is ticking. And but I've said many times, I may have said it at the conference, my experience with God when I'm waiting on Him, it's like nothing, 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 and then the whole earth moves under our feet, and that's what happened.
From
Yeah,
my end, I was, I always wanted something else to go to do, I probably thought I was going to be a missionary somewhere, or that was going to be our main thing.
she was
But,
ready to move to Italy, really, actually.
yeah, yeah, or anywhere. I mean, anywhere,
Whoa.
wherever. But we do have grandkids, so that stabilizes you a little bit. But the one thing I saw from my end is that every morning, about maybe a month, you can correct me on this, Steve, but about a month before we got the call, um, Steve would come in. He always has his Bible and prayer time in the morning. He would start worshiping on the piano and he would sing. He would go out and pray, and it just felt different. It felt like, I mean, I could see him weeping sometimes. I just felt like there was something going on in him spiritually. So now you take that from there, Steve.
Wow.
Well, I would say to anybody in that season of waiting is just stay surrendered. I tell you, I saw it would have been easy to like kick back and take it easy, even spiritually. Oh, I'm not the senior pastor anymore, so I can kind of do things I didn't feel like I could do before, but I didn't. I went the other way. I mean, I read a book by Jerry Bridges called Pursuit of Holiness.
Mm.
And I mean, it's this thick. And I just began to pursue holiness, and I began to surrender. And I wrote a song when I was 16 called Father Thy Will. I was King James back then. And
Yeah.
Father, Thy will in my life is all I ask. Show us where you want us. Give us our task. In your hands, we're willing to give our whole lives. So shine your light down, make our path bright. I would sing that to God every morning. So I just stayed surrendered. But Debbie's right. Every time, God has not usually surprised me at those big junctions. You mentioned a couple of them. When we had a big church merger one time, in my prayer time, when I get around the part of my prayer time when I'm talking about your will be done and surrendering the will, man, I began to get emotional. I began to get, God is plowing. And this happened before. I knew the feeling. I've had a ton of kidney stones, and I've had so many that I know I'm going to have one before I have it, because I get this funny feeling. Well, that's the way I am with God. Did I just liken God to a kidney stone? I think I did. But anyway,
That landed though. That's really good. I
yeah,
don't think
did
we'll
it
miss
though?
that.
Okay. Anyways, but I did. I started coming into Debbie after my time with God in the morning. I said, Debbie, you need to get your heart ready, because I'm telling you, it's about to happen. And then to try to tell the story quick, God is so amazing. It's what we didn't know. I mean, hey, listen, guys, Romans 8:28 is actually true.
Mm.
And Galatians 6:9, that if we don't faint and if we don't faint in doing good and serving and waiting, that in due season we will reap. Those verses are actually true. We preached them for years, and they're actually true. We had no idea. We could take the next hour and talk about how, without our knowing it, like running alongside us in a parallel track, God was just lining things up and just making things happen. And only now can we look back and see. Sometimes you wish he would tell you what he's doing when he's doing it, like Waymaker, even though I don't see it, you're working, even though I don't feel it, you're working. I mean, that sings good, but it doesn't feel good. And so it would have maybe felt better if he'd have let us know, hey, look, I'm doing these things. But now when we look back, it is miraculous when
Amazing.
we see the
Yeah.
coincidences that had to happen for us to come together. So the short line is that we said yes, and the first of this year, we stepped back into senior pastoring a wonderful church, wonderful people, beautiful campus, excellent facility, great world-class musicians. I mean, I feel like I'm in heaven. I feel like I'm already receiving my reward. We have world-class singers, world-class musicians, beautiful facility, beautiful people. There, our slogan is "Love's Gathering Place," and it is not just a slogan. It is a loving
Okay. Yeah.
community. It is a small community, and I think God has called us there to take it to the next level, and we just are like reawakened and ready to go. So guys, don't ever give up. God's not done with you, and that's just not preaching, it's the truth. If I keep talking, I'm going to take an offering.
Listen, anybody
Yeah.
listening right now, I hope people are encouraged in particular. And I'm going to ask you guys both a question, but I just want to acknowledge the fact that if you're listening right now and you're a pastor who feels like you might be that maybe you're not done, but maybe it's time. I hope that you're encouraged by this. Romans 8:28, Galatians 6:9, there's some richness to hearing you two speak to the fact that those verses are true, the encouraging stories. But if I could just ask one, and Debbie, we'll start with you, if that's okay.
Okay.
Just one thing you would say to someone in that season, as someone who has been in that season, one thing you would say just to encourage that person right now, what would you say to them?
The biggest thing I would say to him, and because I love doing things, I love working. I'm not a sit at home kind of pastor's wife. I'm a get in there and, get my hands on it, sometimes overdoing it. But I would say, even though you're like that, even though you know God has a place for you and has called you to the place you're at, if your successor, and you know who they are, is ready to go, you need to release them, because don't wait till they get rid of all their momentum. Don't, strike while the fire is hot if you want this legacy to go on, because you don't want to wait till they're tired and old and 40 and, whatever, until they start. Okay. That's what I would say.
That's so
Yeah.
good. So good. What would you say, Pastor Steve?
Well, I would add a third verse, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. We all know it. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Don't lean on your own understanding. Really, you can trust him. You can trust it. It's so hard to let go. I know that was our baby. We had
Yeah.
pastored that church for decades. It was our baby. Nothing in our flesh wanted to let go, but we did the trust plunge. We did the trust release. And again, it took a while to realize that, excuse me, this was really God. But it turns out that it was really God.
Mhm.
And if I could just share one of those things I was talking about, we didn't know that when Pastor Jordan, our successor, was at Lee University, he attended this church and even led worship there. When they were showing us the church, we were in the children's ministry, and they said, by the way, Jordan Batani helped us design this room, which he's gifted at.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
wow.
So
crazy.
I talked to Jordan about that. I said, you were there? He said, yeah. He said, yeah, they really saw me through a hard time in my life. He said, that church stabilized me. So I'm having lunch with Pastor Bob right before the transition. And I told him, I said, did you have any idea that 15 years, ever how many years ago it was, that the young man, that there was a young man in your audience, your congregation, that you were building up, who was going to succeed the man that would free him up to come and succeed you? That's one of 50 stories that we could tell.
I,
That's just amazing.
I do feel
But
like that's maybe never happened before. I mean, I've never heard that story before. I think that there's such a richness to, and not to fully recap it, but the idea that you brought someone up in your ministry who succeeded you, who had the opportunity to send you to a church where he, was part of the roots of that church. What an amazing look at God kind of moment.
Yeah.
And so that's amazing. Last thing I want to ask before signing off here, because you guys are in a new season. I know you're moving and there's a lot going on, but surely you can already see the horizon and the things in ministry right now that you're excited about. What would you say are 2 or 3 things that you are most excited about right now stepping into this next season?
Well, if you could meet the people, see the leadership, experience the worship, and see the campus, you'd know why we were excited. We were brought into a place that's just ready to blow up. But also at this stage in my life and in our life, we really are about we're really about legacy, and we really want to pour. We're looking for younger people. What excites us is fine. And when I say younger, maybe not 18, but even one step younger than us. And we're wanting to impart to them decades of learning, decades of leadership, and just raise them up and give them everything that we've gotten. Hey, it's kind of fun. I have a whole church full of people now that haven't heard of one of my 3,000 stories. And things you've learned. We've learned so much, and I'm excited that I don't know that if I have enough weeks left in my and until Jesus comes to get out of me, what I've accumulated over these decades. And I'm just excited to be able to do that. I don't know what, Debbie, maybe you have a different answer.
I'm excited about growing young, and there's several colleges in the area. We're excited.
Yeah.
We've already connected with some of the people there, so we're going to try to maybe get some college kids over on our land, and it's just an exciting time. The team around us is wonderful, so that's going to be a pleasure working with them.
We're back in our university town, and that is cool.
Yeah,
that is amazing. Cool. And you guys, thank you for being leaders that aspire to find and locate and build into the next generation. And that message you spoke last year at our conference is still alive and well. I'm glad to hear that. We're still building bridges between the generations.
Thank you, Lord.
It bears mentioning, Pastor Steve and Debbie Sawyer are beloved in the fellowship, Evangel Fellowship International. We're an organization that we say we're relationally connected for global impact, and we really, really, really are passionate about our relationships and leveraging those relationships to have impact all over the world. We're planting churches, we're training pastors, and we're passionate about it. And so thank you guys for being leaders inside that community, but also thank you for the last few minutes that we had just to talk, share this story, impart some wisdom, and look at what God's doing in some amazing people. So I appreciate you guys. Thanks for being a part of this conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us, Matt.